Hey Seahawks, thanks for joining us again for another Student Live. As always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them right down below. And also, if you can, take a minute to go ahead and share this segment with someone who you feel is in your social network that could benefit from today's topic. So we have been celebrating the 60th anniversary of Broward College all semester long, and who better to continue the celebration with than some of our esteemed alumni who are with us today. And here to introduce themselves are...
Hi, everyone. My name is Brenda Morrison, and I currently serve as a chapter president for the Urban League of Broward County Young Professionals Network. I'm also pursuing my master's in public administration, and I graduated with my AA degree from Broward College in 2015.
Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Glenna Brewster Glasgow. I'm an assistant professor at Emory University in the School of Nursing, and I conduct research with persons living with cognitive impairment and their caregivers. And I graduated with an Associates of Science in Nursing and an Associates of Arts in Nursing from Broward College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Gray. I'm a financial advisor here with Evershore Financial Group. I also serve as the Vice President of Professional Development for the YPN chapter for the Urban League of Broward County. And I graduated from Broward College in 2014 with my associate's degree, as well as in 2018 with my bachelor's degree in business management and supervision.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Horowitz. I'm your Alumni Engagement Officer here at Broward College. It's my absolute pleasure to be able to work with you and get to know you as you too will soon become alumni of this fine institution. Go Seahawks.
All right, awesome. So I'm so happy to have the four of you with us today. It's been an interesting year to say the least. And again, all of you are in very different industries, with the exception of Jill. She and I are, keeping it real for higher ed. So I'm curious to know, how are you all doing in spite of the circumstances?
Well, I'll start. I am doing pretty well given the circumstances. I think what I've enjoyed the most during this time is the constant pivoting changes that I have to make. It's really challenged me in a good way, because there's some things I just didn't know I could do before or handle before. And this time has really shown me to kind of push in and push myself a little bit further.
I would say overall, I'm doing pretty good. I think over this time, I've learned that I'm very adaptable to many things that would happen. And while I am a nurse, I haven't really worked in the hospital setting for a few years. I have worked as a nurse practitioner. So in the initial transition, we have seen patients online. So that was something to adjust and adapt to. And I also am in higher ed. So I've been able to support my students as they also transition to having courses online via Zoom. We've all adjusted there. So overall, I would say that I'm pretty good.
For me, it's the constant pivoting and being open to the changes that are coming. I have just remained creatively consistent. I've always had to think outside the box. I've been doing that more so since the pandemic started, which is consistently thinking of things and ways to think outside the box to be creative in my business.
And for the alumni program, I think it's really been good for us in the sense that we have increased our social media presence greatly. We have 15,000 followers on LinkedIn. We have about 2,000 on Instagram and several on Facebook, as well as Twitter. So we encourage all of you to sign up for our pages. We also are holding monthly webinars and things, whereas we used to do a lot more in-person events. Now that we have a big web presence, it's something that as students you should take part of, because as we all know, the time goes by quickly, and before you know it, you're going to be part of these alumni pages as well. So I would say sign in, sign up.
All right. So, and we'll get to that later, Joe, absolutely, because we definitely want our students to connect very early on, even before they graduate. But since we are here with three esteemed alumni, I'm curious to know from y'all's perspective, why is it that you did initially choose to attend Broward?
So I decided to join Broward due to not getting into my dream school at the time, which was UCF. Did not have the financial backing to be able to get there. And so I was a bit frustrated at home, and my mom decided, you know what, you're going to not stay home every day. You're going to get up and, figure out what you're going to be doing going forward next. And she took the bus. At the time, we didn't have a car. She took like 2 buses to get me there, sat with me through the financial aid office just to make sure that I got my paperwork in. And the reason why I pushed through, regardless of what my mother said, is because I truly saw Broward College as a gateway for me to kind of get to my dream school at some point. And now, like it's become a true gateway to at least my personal and professional development.
I actually was an international student, so I migrated to Fort Lauderdale from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And Broward College, which was then Broward Community College, was in close proximity to where I lived. And compared to the 4-year schools that were close by, it was the least expensive. And it had the nursing program that I wanted to attend.
For me, it was all about being able to attend an institution where I was able to not only have the flexibility to work while going to school, because I did not have the luxury of having everything as a full ride. So the affordability of Broward College made it a big plus for me. Being able to take classes at 8 weeks versus 16 weeks, I was able to pretty much knock out quite a bit of the course requirements for my degree, as well as the other big thing for me was the name recognition and the positive feedback that I've gotten from other people that attended Broward College. And at the time when I started, it was actually Broward Community College. So it was just the positive feedback that I continuously got from other professionals, other students. The affordability and the flexibility to attend the institution made it a big, big plus for me.
So all of you hit on something really important, which is still true. Like I said, even though it's been maybe a few years since y'all graduated, our present student population still deals with some of those same challenges in terms of transportation issues, affordability, the ability to balance work and school life. And so I'm curious to know, during your time, what was your biggest transitional issue that you kind of had to cope with very early on at the point where you started your college journey at Broward?
For me, it was financial setbacks. At the time when I put in my paperwork to be a student at Broward College, my parents were just going through a foreclosure at the time. So coming right out of high school, trying to at least get to these other big schools was just not in the cards at the time. And dealing with the finances, as well as not having a car, figuring out how am I going to take all of my classes, but also get to school by taking 3 buses, was something I had to constantly deal with, at least for my first few semesters. But that struggle, in addition to still forging through nonetheless with my classes, definitely taught me a lot. And I'm at least thankful for that training ground for me at Broward College.
So for me, it was the cultural differences. There were definitely differences in terms of the persons who I would interact with at Broward College. But another thing was I was now maneuvering a much larger space and city than I was back home. St. Vincent has 110,000 people versus hundreds of thousands who live in Fort Lauderdale, and adjusting to that, figuring out bus schedules to get to and from class and figuring out classes, maneuvering between campuses. My first semester actually took class at Central Campus and downtown campus and North Campus. So trying to figure out the bus routes for those. But I definitely grew a lot going to and attending Broward College and transitioning from a small island to Fort Lauderdale.
For me, I transitioned into Broward right out of high school, and it was a big eye-opening experience for me, where I am no longer accounted for a bell that tells me to go to this class to the next class. It was more so now for me to make sure that I time block, because I was working full time And so I had to make sure classes were adaptable to my schedule. So I took classes at night, classes early in the morning, classes in the afternoon, on the weekends. And so I had to make sure that I had a calendar, I had my schedule down to a T. I had to make sure that I had constant communication with my managers to say, this is my schedule for the semester for college. Let's try to work my day-to-day schedule to adapt to that. So for me, definitely transitioning from high school into Broward College, being more responsible and making sure that my schedule was something that was concrete was definitely a shift for me.
And I think that makes a lot of sense, Kim, because we do hear still from students, of course, saying that time management piece, figuring out how to juggle all their different priorities, whether it's school, whether it's work, personal obligations that our students have, like that can be very overwhelming from jump. And still, we're always very impressed by the number of students that choose to engage with their campuses or on their campuses at the onset of college. And so I'm curious to know, were any of you a part of anything outside of the classroom? Were you involved in anything on your campuses?
So I was a part of Food for Thought. It was an organization put together by one of my professors, Professor Rudy Jean Bart, that kind of gave students a more place to kind of at least delve in a little bit more in terms of their ideology on different historical subjects. And another club that I joined was also the Caribbean Student Association. I think that was one of my first clubs that I joined, and I knew it was something about it because I was willing to take 3 buses. I didn't have class when the meetings occurred, but I was willing to take 3 buses just to get there, to be able to just hang out and at least connect with other Seahawks. So those were my 2 organizations I was a part of.
Now that you mentioned that, I was also a part of that. I was more active in the International Club and Omega Phi chapter. The Omega Phi chapter is the chapter of Phi Theta Kappa, which is a 2-year international honor society. And for Omega Phi, I actually served as the internal and external vice president for 2 years. And I think for me, what that taught me was leadership, but also service, because as a member of that, we planned panels, we volunteered for activities in the community. So service definitely was one of the things that it taught me, and also how to be a member of a team. And it also opened my eyes to see more of the United States. I think it was as a member of Omega Phi that I got to go to Seattle for the first time and see what that looked like. So it definitely had its pluses.
Yeah, so many benefits, just really from the 2 of your stories, because the developmental pieces that our students get to experience from connecting with student life, and the relationship building piece too. I think that that's probably the thing that we drive home the most, whether that's happening inside or outside of the classroom. So I'm curious to know, were there some classes or maybe some people that really stood out to you that left an impression on you during your time at BC?
For me, it was Professor Rudy Jean Bart as well as Professor Michael Holbert. So I took Professor Rudy Jean Bart's all of his history classes. And I remember when I took the initial first class, as with a lot of professors, of course, stick to your curriculum. And I think by the 3rd history class that I took, he made it a point to say, yes, we're going to have a curriculum, and yes, we're going to have a midterm and a final exam, but I don't want you to just focus on acing it. I really want you to focus and hone in on, your discussion pieces. When we have conversation, how can you interject in that? How can you create a point to maybe you're not arguing it, but more or less you're kind of also getting to really understand it and digest it. Professor Michael Holbert, I took a lot of my ethics class with him, and he was very good at really challenging my critical thinking skill set. So having those conversations about what could be morally right within whatever discussion we may have, and really pushing the class to really think through and have fluid conversations about that, I think definitely left an imprint on me. Within my background, I've had experience working in the political realm that definitely kind of coincides with that, where I'm constantly working with colleagues across the aisle, but still continuing to have those fluid conversations, still willing to at least have those uncomfortable discourse type of conversations. Those classes definitely helped me with that.
So for me, there were two classes, world religion and microbiology. In my world religion class, that definitely gave me a broader outlook about the world and what people believed and how to really accept people who might have different beliefs than I would, understanding that, there's a lot of shared belief I learned among the religions that I didn't know about initially when I grew up back in the Caribbean. So that definitely taught me that. And the other one was microbiology. The professor for that class was Dr. Fouad Khan. And for him, it was learning from him how it was to make a subject like microbiology, which people might perceive to be as difficult, really enjoyable. He broke down the information so that we could understand it. And for those who didn't necessarily understand it, he would show up and provide extra or additional classes or sessions so that we could attend and ask questions. So that at the end of the day, like you said, Brenda, it wasn't necessarily about only passing to get a grade, but to really understand the concepts, knowing that once we did that, we'll be able to apply it in the future to whatever field it was that we were going to move into.
For me, I had so many shared experiences. I would have to say, I think Broward College has tremendous professors and faculty and staff. And what I love about them is that they are genuine. They definitely, at least from my experience throughout my entire career at Broward College, I have met so many counselors, so many guidance professionals that really guided me and made recommendations as to how I should plan out my schedule to make sure that I can graduate on time. But what I loved also was the professors. They all were still either in their current field. So it wasn't like they were retired 20, 30 years and they're coming back to teach. They are still there. Like they have a 9 to 5 like I do. And so that was important for me because oftentimes, as I find now, yes, we can go through the book work and study those practical things. But to be honest, in the real world, it's so different. So it was good to have the professors that highlighted the book work and say, okay, this is what you need to get through this course. And this is how the foundation is, but this is how you really are going to apply that into the real world. And I love that quite a few of the professors that I had, they were very creative. I am one of those hands-on students, and the fact that these professors, they were able to just apply creative applications for me to be able to understand and digest the concept and to really stay focused on what it is that I needed to get out that class. That was big for me. And I think that's a memorable experience for myself. So Broward College, I would say for me, has set the expectation for any university I go to thereafter that I'm expecting the same standard of teaching at any institution at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kim. I think that's a huge benefit to a lot of our students is that, like you said, the real world piece, whether they're learning that also outside of the classroom or whether their faculty members can provide that perspective. It almost sets you up for just that much more of a taste of what your industry or your day-to-day could look like in your respective fields. So based on all of your different experiences, you all went into different industries. So I'm curious to know, how would you say that your time at Broward separately prepared each one of you for that next step?
For me, I would say it's the intuitive thinking to make sure that there's real life application. I think that definitely helped my experience thus far. I will go back and speak again about Professor Rudy Jean Bart. My first volunteer experience that pretty much launched me into the professional realm actually came through my professor sharing the opportunity as an announcement to his past and current students. And I sat on it for maybe 3 weeks, didn't move with it. And I finally moved on it, and I ended up getting the last spot. And getting that last spot, I was the newbie on the block. Every other intern for that opportunity had an experience in the political realm, and that basically was a starting block. So I would definitely say it's the professors who are very intuitive about sharing opportunities, real life opportunities that their students can benefit from. You just never know. One opportunity can literally shift the paradigm of your experience at the college. And I think Broward College does an excellent job at that.
I really agree with you there, Brenda. Before I answer this question, I kind of want to say thank you to the nurses and the healthcare providers who are really on the front line out there providing care for families and patients who are living with COVID-19 right now. They're really on the front lines. And one of the things that Broward College taught me during the nursing program was to understand that the care that I was providing wasn't only to the patient, but to the families also. So we're not only providing the hands-on care for that person, but we are educating the family members, we are informing them, we're supporting them as they also try to support their loved one who is in the hospital, who we are caring for. Another thing that it taught me was that to be prepared to teach. I worked as a tutor in the Learning Resource Center at North Campus, and it allowed me to be able to figure out how to pass on information and transfer information that I know to other students, and imparting knowledge was so important and is so necessary now to what it is that I do as a researcher, as a nurse practitioner, and also as a teacher to the students who I have.
So for me, Broward College has made such a huge impact in my career. First off, with the confidence. That is the number one thing that I can say I pulled out, because knowing that I went to such a prestigious college, and knowing that I'm walking from an institution that had so much positive feedback. I mean, there's not much I could say that I've heard with experiences with Broward College, but I believe with the confidence, and I believe also with the positive feedback, that gives me the confidence level to know that, hey, I am qualified for this position. I am qualified to be in this role. I am qualified to be here. So that confidence is bestowed upon me from just going to Broward College. Another thing is, because my degree was also in business management, I've learned such tangible skills that I was able to transfer into my work life. I was a branch manager, so I've had to learn with managing with different communication styles, learn with sending out memos to my staff, learn with, performance reviews, or even highlighting my employees. What does that process look like? And even from a logistical standpoint, when it comes to running my own branch, and even now being in this role as a financial advisor, what does that look like for me to shape myself and to lead myself? So those tangible things that I learned from Broward College really is something that is adaptive for me into my career, and the confidence that I was able to build, knowing that I'm coming from an institution that has years upon years of positive feedback.
Absolutely. And I think what the biggest takeaway from the three of you is, like you said, that skill piece. I can share, like I said, from a student life perspective, one of the reasons that we harp on students for that extracurricular involvement, for the relationship building element, whether it's inside or outside of the classroom, is because you're taking away, Kim, as you said, like those tangible skills that really all three of you highlighted in your individual jobs or in your individual industries, that are just so critical, because it's not just the education that you're getting, but it's also that piece that employers are looking for. Like, do you have a great foundation in the interpersonal skill sets that we need you to have? And a lot of that needs to take place prior to graduation. I think, Jill, this is kind of where you come in, and your area can really benefit students. So can you share a little bit about what alumni and friends, how they already connect with our current student population, and how they can start to build those skill sets even with our alumni?
Yes. Well, we have a very robust website, which you can find on the college website. There's an alumni tab. And if you click on alumni spotlights and you click on either the pathway that you're in or the pathway you're thinking about, you can see at least in there's 150 or so spotlights, and see what somebody did. For example, Dr. Brewster is a professor of nursing, or Brenda decided to go into public administration and may end up running for office someday. And of course, Miss Gray is a financial advisor, and with that role, there's so many things that she could do with it, and has taken her degree into various different levels. So it's really interesting to see where you start and where you can end up are two different things. And by contacting our alumni, all of them are on LinkedIn, and there's ways that you can learn to use LinkedIn, and you can check the box of Broward College no matter where you're going to interview. We have over 1 million alumni, which is a lot of people that have gone to this college. And all you need to do is say, hey, we both went to Broward. Do you think you could help me with my, introduction or a resume or things? We have a career center. There's so many tools that we have that once you leave this institution, you're not gone. You can come back, and we have different programs that would be for you.
Absolutely. We always tell them it's that first step that they just need to take, right? So just be brave and be bold and reach out. I know for now, like, I'll be voting for Brenda eventually. And Glenna's going to be taking care of my health, and Kim's going to be handling my money moving forward. So I'm super excited to have met the three of you, and I'm not even a current student. So I hope, like I said, that they'll take advantage of all the engagement that they can have, not just with student life, but obviously with alumni and friends. Because like you said, we're strong and mighty, and alumni are out there, and they're ready and willing to connect and help other students grow. And kind of, like I said, take away, again, those skill sets, those interpersonal skills that we just desperately want them to have before they graduate from Broward. So thank you so much to the four of you for taking time today to share not only about your journey at BC, but again, your willingness to share with students just in general about what the aftermath looks like, what the picture looks like post graduation, that they can do it. So appreciate the four of you coming on today.
And if any of the students want to write to me, through the alumni tab, the sign up, or find my name, Jill Horowitz, I can connect you if there's a certain alumni or a path that you want to try to go into. I'm so happy to connect you with either someone in that pathway, or if there's a specific person that you find, we will also help you to do that.
Awesome. So excited. So Seahawks, you heard it here first. Just need to reach out, and everyone's there to help and assist you along the way. Thank you so much for all of you who've been tuning in religiously over the fall semester. We are wishing you well as you near finals week. We hope you have an amazing holiday season that's coming up and an awesome winter break. And we hope to see you all in the spring semester for yet another awesome Student Live series. Stay safe, Seahawks. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.